Hey babes, and welcome back to another episode of Thanks for Stopping By. Welcome back to my humble little podcast. So right away, I already kind of have something. Sorry, there is so much happening outside of my apartment right now. It is absolutely crazy. At one point, there was a woman singing, and now there are people just yelling at each other. Like they are actually just screaming. So if you hear any of that, I apologize. um. So first thing I want to talk about, I guess, is today. So hold on, let me kind of gather my thoughts here. So I'm sure most of you know, this past year, Shane Dawson had I guess I'll say another big controversy. He definitely has been in a plethora of controversies throughout his time. But I think this, for a lot of people, was like the last straw sort of deal. For those of you who don't know what happened, kind of a quick recap. The thing that set everything on fire was the whole beauty drama thing, where the whole like James Charles Tati Westbrook situation happened that set off like Dramageddon, and then Tati ended up releasing a video talking about how Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson like orchestrated the whole thing or something like that. It was really fucking wild shit. And like a few days before that Tati video got released, Shane was in the hot seat already because people were starting to bring up a lot of his old content. And it's a really interesting thing because like I apologize, I'm all over the place, but like there are people who have known Shane Dawson since like the beginning of YouTube, because he's been on the platform for fucking forever. And then there are some people like me who have only known this sort of like wholesome savior Ellen of YouTube, Shane Dawson, which is ironic within itself. So like I didn't know his older content because I found him when the TanaCon series started. And I knew who Shane Dawson was, but I never knew like what his content even was back in the day because I wasn't interested. I just was into other shit. And to me, he was like, oh, like the boy all the like girls are obsessed with. So I was like, oh, okay, it maybe, like he's like, he's got like the scene hair and like he makes like, he makes like shirts that they sell at Hot Topic. And, at the time I was just like, I mean, my YouTube tastes were still dog like hot garbage, but I just never really come across his content. And so like I said, I joined around the TanaCon sort of era, I guess. And he had this persona of being like, I'm the Ellen of YouTube. I'm like the savior, and you can admit your mistakes to me, but we'll grow together. You know what I mean? And I was like, whatever. It was very schlocky to me always, but there was that sort of wholesome element there. It was like, oh, this is cute. This is fine. Not really knowing the like deeper layers of people. even someone like Jeffree Star, who like they get into it in the series, but it's very like PR safe. Um, so I didn't know like to the full extent who any of these people were. But then he was kind of in the hot seat because people were starting to question old videos. Um, like the racism was a big one that he's had to apologize before, and not just saying racial slurs, but doing blackface, like actually doing blackface in his videos, saying the N-word, portraying people of color as like really dumb or lesser than, just like really gross, shitty behavior that is like really gross and toxic, but is played off as edgy humor, which every white dude from the internet always uses that excuse of like, that's just how the times were back then. It was edgy. And this was that excuse of like edgy jokes is already super lame and weak as an argument, but this was like very clearly beyond that. And then like other allegations of like bestiality were coming out, and like inappropriate behavior with minors, and like just some really, really serious shit that was cause for concern, obviously. I'm doing a really poor job explaining all of it, obviously, because I'm bad at words. But if you want like the full breakdown of all these things, D'Angelo Wallace, who's an incredible YouTuber, made a 3-part series on Jeffree Star, Shane Dawson, and then finally Tatu Westbrook. And if you want the whole thing, you can watch all 3, or if you just want the Shane information, watch that episode. It is, first off, he says it himself in the video, but the biggest of big trigger warnings. It's really not great to watch, but if you really, really want to know the full extent of why so many people are finally done with this guy, I suggest you give it a watch. It's definitely important to know, this goes beyond the whole like, oh, cancel culture, they're trying to ruin people's lives. This is someone who should not be in the public eye anymore. Knowing all these things now, there's no excuse. So yeah, I really urge all of you to go over to D'Angelo's channel and watch that. It is very important. But obviously, so the video, he releases a video called Taking Accountability, Shane Dawson. And in the video, he like does a very poor job, once again, like most of his apologies, of addressing the issues. Like any YouTuber apology, they're all the same, right? The the couple word dramatic title. I'm very thankful at least he didn't call it "we messed up" or "I messed up." You know what I mean? But it's like that sad, concerned face in the thumbnail, and hey guys, so the pull away the hand with the camera. I don't remember if he does that move, but they're all kind of the same. They're very overly serious, but yet super like the funniest thing about YouTuber apologies, and it is no different in this one, is that it's just so interesting to watch people so heavily dance around the issue. And then like you hear from most people, they're like, honestly, I would have like all you needed to just be was like, I'm sorry, this was fucking gross and stupid. I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't do it anymore. I've learned. I'm going to keep learning. That was it. I was just stupid. There's no excuse for it. Okay. Thank you. Maybe in Shane's case, it's a little less acceptable because there's just things that he's done that like are beyond just an apology. Like I really just want him gone. But like a lot of other YouTubers, like I said, a bad thing, or I, used, awful, hateful words, or I said awful jokes that I thought were edgy, whatever your fucking case is, apologize like a human being. Admit that it's stupid. Understand that people are still rightfully hesitant of you, but show that you've grown. You know what I mean? Because it's much better to just apologize and have people, be like sus about you, or like not sure, or like hesitant to take it. And then you just do your best to show that you actually have grown and you're not a piece of shit anymore. Then try and make this excuse apology of like, oh, well, I had a tough time. So, you know what I mean? That's the lamest thing you could do. Well, I had a really rough childhood, so that's why I said the N-word. Hey, man. No. I didn't understand. And, that's just how the internet was back then. No. I mean, yes, but that doesn't excuse the fact that it happened. You were a part of a bigger problem, but you were still a part in it. Yes, the internet was quote unquote edgy or whatever you want to say, but like that doesn't excuse the fact that you were part of this problem, because there were plenty of YouTubers who didn't say the N-word. So that's not a serviceable excuse. And Shane Dawson in this apology does all of this same shit, where he almost starts to apologize for something, and then it's immediately like, well, I thought it was okay because my childhood was really rough and I had all this trauma, da-da-da-da. That's great. Sorry. I'm sorry you had to go through that. That sucks. But we're here to talk about you being sexual with minors and animals and using racial slurs and blackface. And your rough upbringing is not an excuse for any of that. So, it's the same shit over and over again, where these people, they aren't here to apologize and show they've grown. They're here to garner sympathy from their audience, so their audience lets it go. You know what I mean? And this video was no different, but a lot of people let it go because we live in hell, and I just want the world to stop, But beyond that, he releases that video, and then I think like 3 days later, Tati releases her video called Speaking Up or Speaking Out or whatever the fuck. And it's the same shit. She is like, I'm going to pass all the blame off on these other people. And again, D'Angelo Wallace made an incredible video about all of this, and I really, really urge you to check it out. But she's basically like, oh, Shane and Jeffrey manipulated me. It was all their fault. And regardless of the fact, she is not innocent either, but nonetheless, Shane goes live on Instagram while the video is like coming out, like I think he went up like 30 something minutes after the video came out. And this was insane because I saw the live stream on Instagram. And he is pacing around his house. It's only like 3 minutes long. You can find it on YouTube. And it's in D'Angelo's video as well. He is pacing around his house, yelling at this woman who's not there. It's just the video on the TV. He's like freaking out, being really aggressive and really crazy. And then like still trying to hold on to this like nice guy attitude. So he'll be like, she's such a fucking, I can't, I don't want to be mean. And it's like, hey man, the cracks are slipping here, pick one, freak out or don't, but like, it was just like, it was so insane to watch, because who in their right mind is like, yes, this is a great idea. in the heat of anger and frustration, I'm going to, instead of collect myself and like try and explain or whatever, I'm just going to go on Instagram and freak out and show my reactions to like over 250,000 people. And yeah, he does it for like 3 minutes. You hear Ryland in the background saying like, "Oh, get off." And then it ends. And at that point, like, we all fucking saw it, and of course people saved it. And so that happens, and then not too long after that, D'Angelo's video comes out, and that's where a lot more people got the whole situation, right? Just like me, like, I never saw the Twitter thread that led to him taking accountability. All I ever knew about the situation was from the video, which he does a very poor job illustrating what the issues were. So I still didn't even know the full extent after his video. And I was already like, this was lame. This was such a lame attempt at an apology, even without the full context of what he was apologizing for. So that's already a bad sign, right? But yeah, so D'Angelo's video comes out, and it's like an hour and 13 minutes long or something. And it's, again, like, I do urge you to watch it, but also warning, it's really rough to watch. It's like super tough to watch. Yeah, there's some shit in that video, man, where, I'm just like, oh boy. So obviously, like, a lot of people saw that and were like, leave, like, please, like, don't be on the platform anymore, because yikes, and of course Shane goes dark, no tweets, no likes on his Twitter, no interaction on fucking Instagram or anything, no YouTube videos, obviously. I think Morgan and Ryland, like, tried to address it in videos. I know I saw a clip of Ryland, like, vaguely, like, really, really poorly addressing it, which, of course, they're engaged, so of course he's not gonna do anything about it. But then I was already, like, pretty upset, obviously. This, like, person who I thought was, like, this, like, wholesome, if, like, maybe a little cheesy, but kind of, all pretty relatively wholesome and fun YouTuber. Definitely, like, sometimes I was like, oh, this is a little, cheesy or schlocky, but it was no different to me than, like, watching any reality show where it's like, we're gonna give you your house a makeover or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh, cool, seeing someone be nice to people for a while. And then, like, there was the other ones, like ghost hunting, and like one of my favorite creators I found through Shane, which is Garrett Watts, which I'm really happy he distanced himself from the whole thing and publicly was kind of like, I don't want to be a part of Shane anymore after I figured all this out. Having this person who's like this really wholesome, creator, obviously was pretty upset. But then something that made me even more upset, and a lot of other people even more upset, was the fact that, we all knew, I think we all knew subconsciously, that Shane wasn't leaving YouTube, right? Like, he wasn't gonna be gone. This wasn't it for him. It was just like, we've seen him go through this kind of shit plenty of times in the past, as you learn through D'Angelo's video. This is not the only controversy he's had in the past. So I think we all kind of knew he'd be back. He's one of the biggest creators on the platform. But I don't think anyone thought it would be this quick. And I don't think anyone would thought it would be in this way. And I hate to say it, but to their credit, they did it the smartest way they could, you know, for what that matters. They did it on. So for those quick context before I talk about it is, he was dark for a little bit, and then Ryland, his fiance, released a video called like, it was like redoing a fucking room in our house or some shit that he does on his channel. And Shane is in it and is just totally acting as if nothing happened, right? And I didn't watch the whole video because I didn't really need to. Because I mean, he's in the beginning of it, really. And then he disappears for some of it, but they never address anything. They just kind of move on, you know, and act like nothing happened. And they're just filming like a fun little decorating video. And it was just like, wow, man. Like, what happened to quote unquote taking accountability? You know what I mean? And you can just tell with the energy of the video that like, this isn't something that's a huge deal to them. This is something that's definitely inconveniencing them, right? Like, this isn't like, oh shit, like, I can't believe I did all those things. How could I have ever been so horrible? This to them is very clear through the video, like, oh, I can't believe I have to fucking deal with people being upset that I was racist and gross and just did completely unokay, inexcusable behavior. Like, people are always hate me. You know what I mean? And he's always exhibited that kind of behavior in his, like, wholesome phase, you know? Like, he's talked about it during that time, my short time with Shane. Like, he's always talked about, like, oh, you know, like, haha, like, I'm the person people hate every 2 years. But he always made it seem like it's, like, these random attacks people have on him. Like, oh, yeah, you know, every 2 years, people just, like, find a reason to hate me. So to someone like me who, like, had no prior knowledge, it always felt like, oh, people hate him because he's popular. They want to find a reason to hate him because he's popular. And maybe he made, like, older, you know, cringy content, so people hate him or whatever. Not, oh, people want to hold me accountable for racism and pedophilia and bestiality and are very concerned and want answers for all of this disgusting shit. Maybe say that part, you know? Maybe bring that part up. Just a thought. Just an idea. Talk about that part. Don't go, oh yeah, you know, every time my channel's doing well, people hate me again. It's like, no, dude. It's not a case of dealing with the haters. It's dealing with people who are grossed out by your shitty behavior. You know what I mean? It's fucking crazy to, like, see that mentality because you know it's still there. You know he's sitting there going, God, people want to fucking cancel me. Oh, this cancel culture, which, yes, cancel culture can be problematic, and it has been in the past. This is not an example of that. You know, there's a difference between goofy Twitter cancel culture and being held accountable for unacceptable behavior. There's a very distinct difference. One of them being pedophilia, bestiality, doing blackface. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, oh, the K-pop stans are coming after me, dude. You are exuding absolutely disgusting behavior, and yes, you should be held accountable for it. But yeah, so they release this video, and nothing. Of course, all the comments are, you know, people very concerned, like, oh wow, you're just gonna act like nothing happened, huh? We're just gonna move right on. Well, actually, that's not even true. The comments were the wildest part of this, by the way, Because the comments were like a complete 50-50 split between people being like, so we're just not going to fucking talk about it? Like, you're just going to move on and be like, hey, back to fun decorating videos. Like, what the fuck? And the other half was people being like, I don't understand why everyone has to hate on Shane. Like, he's different now. Da-da-da-da. Like, clearly, like, he's not, whatever. Like, people who are genuinely like, don't listen to the hater, Shane. We love you. What the fuck, man? I get it that people love this guy and look up to him, because, like I said, he's been on the platform for so long, and he's obviously has a dedicated fan base that, in reality, he's sort of groomed over a very long period of time. But at some point, you have to really look at it, and say, like, no matter what this person did for my life, at some point you have to really, really look at it and be like, I can't condone this shit anymore. You know what I mean? You can remember the art, right? Like, I think a big weird argument is like art versus artist, right? Like, it's kind of hard because when you have someone, especially someone like a YouTuber, it's hard when there's someone who's an artist that you love and you love their creations, but you can't even separate the two because no matter what, watching their videos is constantly benefiting them, right? Like I said, I at one point was a fan of Shane when he was in his like wholesome phase or whatever you want to call it. I miss being able to watch like the ghost hunting videos or, like the go into Texas fucking series or whatever. But I don't go back and watch those, even though I miss those. And there's other characters besides Shane in it that I miss, like Garrett. I can't go back and watch that because it's benefiting him. Because those keep giving him views and those keep boosting his channel up. You know what I mean? So it's hard, right? It's the same thing with celebrities where it's like, I don't want to support these people by buying their movies or buying their music, because they did all these horrible things. Just because someone meant something to you, you can hold on to that memory, but you have to draw a line somewhere. You know what I mean? And I think it's an argument. It's something I've like talked about a lot. We he's using this word because it's so like memed at now, but like as a society, quote unquote, we really do rely really heavily on selective criticism, right? Like the amount of times I've heard someone want to cancel or want to deplatform or never support someone again for something awful they did, but then they tell me like, yeah, this author, just like did a bunch of gross, awful, inexcusable shit, but I really love their books, so the community just kind of let it go. Hey, make a fucking decision, man. Do you support that shit or not? But we like to kind of, and it's hard. It's a human emotion. You don't want to let go of this thing you really love, but I get that he has fans who love him and probably have done, have been there for really rough times in their lives, just like some of our favorite creators have been there in really rough times in ours. But at some point, when it goes beyond just like, I said something offensive, but I apologize, I'm not going to do it anymore, I'm going to grow from it, and then you continue to grow. That's one thing. But the things that he has done and not shown a change in behavior, clearly, he's just done a better job at masking it. It's inexcusable, And I just really hope that people can really, really take a look and think about the danger that he poses. Because YouTube clearly doesn't want to do anything about it. And his fans aren't going to let it go. So it's kind of concerning, you know what I mean, to think about, and to see that we're this was I super apologize. This was a really long way of getting to what I wanted to talk about like half an hour ago. Um, to see that I feel like I'm really nervous because I feel like now, because of something that happened today, we are finally in the phase where we're gonna start, like, him and the people around him are gonna start ushering their way back into a normal, like, upload schedule. Because today, and this wasn't like a world changing event. It felt really jarring to see, I guess. So it kind of made me go like, uh-oh, this is a thing. Because they released that one video, the, like, makeover video, and I felt like that was them testing the water, right? And they did it on Ryland's channel because they wanted to see, like, well, how are people going to feel about Shane being in videos already? Obviously not a great reaction. So they waited a little bit again. And this is weird because it's not directly related to Shane. And some people may not even agree on what I'm saying. I just feel like anybody in that circle releasing shit that doesn't address anything is them trying to get back to normal. And that idea scares me. It's less that, like, oh, I think Shane's going to be back on the platform tomorrow, but it just scares me. The feeling that these people are going to be back to making content normal, and he's going to start appearing in it again, right? Because today Ryland dropped a teaser, or not like a teaser, but it was more of like a behind-the-scenes, long, drawn-out video setting up to promote his new podcast. And I haven't listened to the episode yet. I do plan on listening to it. But I did watch the video, for the most part. I skimmed through a little bit of it because it was kind of boring. But I'm really, really nervous that they're going to use the podcast as an outlet to talk about it, which is such a bad fucking idea. You know what I mean? Like even if it's not as black and white as, like, we're having Shane on the podcast and we're gonna talk. Like, they're really good at subtly doing shit. So I just, like, I can't wait to see, like, the tea, or what is it called? The Sip, episode 3, talking about cancel culture. You know what I mean? And, like, they send out all these floaters of, like, oh, yeah, it sucks when people get canceled, blah, 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 blah. And they get all these people on their side to kind of shift them into being like, oh, yeah, that does suck. Oh, man, that's kind of what happened to Shane, even though it's totally not. Oh, well, maybe it's okay if Shane comes back. And then, boom, now he's back. You know what I mean? Like, I get that that's totally wild and could absolutely not be what's happening, and he just wants to release his fucking podcast or whatever. But, like, something is so scary about it. Because, God, YouTube is so fucking slimy and gross and, like, shady. And I hate it. I hate how shit the platform that I want to be on is. Isn't that wild? To be like, the amount of YouTubers who are already, like, explosive popular creators on the site, the amount of them that talk shit about the platform that hosts their videos is fucking nuts to me. The amount of them who are just like, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's sponsor is this because YouTube fucking sucks and won't pay us to do our jobs because this place is bullshit. You know what I mean? It's, oh my God. It's insane. But, like, that whole group, too. I could absolutely see them doing something like that. And it might sound like a crazy, wild conspiracy theory. Whoa. But, like, can't you see it? Them, like, subtly transitioning into... Because the podcast isn't going to take place on YouTube. It was just, like, a promo video. The actual podcast is just audio only. It was just like a promo for it. But I could see an episode. They fucking live together. No shit. I can see an episode coming out either with him on it or of them, like him and his co-host, like vaguely discussing what happens. And that sucks because, like I said, he's coming back. It's gonna happen. Like, I hate to say it because I absolutely don't want it to, but like, he's gonna come back. It's inevitable. I think it'll take a bit longer than it has in the past, but he'll come back because that's what YouTube is. It's a bunch of people doing horrible shit and then making a video like, I guess I'm sorry, maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry you feel bad about it. All right, see you in tomorrow's vlog. You know, it's how it is because those people will continue to get pushed by YouTube because those are the people that bring in the money. They bring in the views. No matter how much you hate him, he's a fucking cash machine for YouTube. Again, like, as much as you hate him, he kind of changed the landscape of the platform for a minute. Like, how many people started doing those, like, really weird long docuseries after the TanaCon thing happened, you know? Not to say he invented them or anything, but he definitely, like, popularized that style of YouTube. I mean, there was a point where people were saying he's like the new HBO, you know? So, he's gonna come back. And, oh my God, sorry. I just got the craziest thought. What if he comes back and his next series is on himself? What the fuck? Could you imagine? Like, he doesn't upload for like 6 months, and then all of a sudden, number one on trending is the mind of Shane Dawson. Oh no! Oh no! Oh my God! Holy shit! It's like a 28-part series on himself, and he's gotta like go back home and like interview his past self. You know what I mean? Oh my, like, he's got to go home and like figure out why he did what he did or whatever. Oh my God. I'm sorry. That's so crazy to me thinking about that. 'Cause here's the thing. As crazy and wild as that sounds, like a series about himself, that's totally something I could see him doing. You know? And he like goes back and like interviews all these other edgy creators from that time. Holy shit, man. Okay. Dude, see, and here's the problem. I'm part of the problem. Because I hate it, but I'd have to fucking watch it, right? How do you not? That's the problem with the internet. We're literally talking about the most insane, crazy fucking idea of him like coming back, re-debuting with a series diving into himself to address everything. And I'd absolutely watch it. Every part, 100%. And everyone else would too. Because we're all fucking dumb. Because we're all also part of the problem. And you get so much money from it. Oh my God. I hope that doesn't happen. But I also can absolutely see it happening. The mind of Shane Dawson. Jesus Christ, y'all. Dude. And it would legitimately be like number one on trending, like every time it came out, right? Because I'm pretty sure all the other ones trended and they weren't even that interesting. The Jake Paul one was too fucking long. It was like, what was it, like 9 parts, 8 parts? Too fucking long. That's too much. God, I like... And then all the channels would make videos about it. You know, D'Angelo would make a video about it because people would expect him to. Jesus Christ, man. God, dude. Can I title my episode The Mind of Shane Dawson? Is that allowed? I'm going to do it now. I have to. Oh, that's so funny. Jesus Christ. All right. Well, I have to end it there. For sure I do, right? I have to. There's no way I can't. Jesus Christ. All right. Well, I want to say thank y'all so much for joining me here on the podcast. This one sure was a doozy. Yeah, thanks for joining me here. I promise I'm working on stuff. It sure has been a week. I'm going to say that. That's just where I'll leave it. It has been more than enough. But I promise you I'm trying my hardest to make content. I'm keeping the podcast on schedule so far. So are you proud of me? But I promise there's more videos coming and stuff, especially on my second channel. I have a ton of ideas for that. You might see some new faces. And yeah, so with that being said, thank y'all so much for joining me. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that, you know, all the fun YouTube and podcast things that you do. Hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful rest of your day. And most importantly, thanks for stopping by.